Well, hello everybody. Welcome back. Josh here with Josh's Lawn and Landscape. And small engine repair, apparently. Back in the shop, as you can tell, and it is Thursday evening. And I know I had been mentioning on and off just a minor issue with starter starting to drag on the QuikTrak. And so I ordered one. I went to John Deere and talked to them about it, and I was able to find the Kohler part number, so I looked it up, and obviously got a better deal online than from the dealer. So I ordered a starter. It come in, and so got the QuikTrak here, ta-da, and gonna be possibly replacing the starter. So kind of a how-to video, and see how it turns out. I'll get the camera turned around and kind of show you where the starter is, and y'all let me know y'all's thoughts on this one as the video goes along. So I'm gonna try to do it. I want to verify that obviously the starter I got matches up before I get too deep into it. So I'm gonna try to do some checking, comparisons, analyzing, so to speak, and see if everything matches up. If so, I can start doing some disassembly and putting it back together. So let me get the camera turned around and we'll get into this one. So, as you can see, got the QuikTrak here, and just for a first initial view, can you tell where the starter is? Back there. There's the positive cable coming to the solenoid. And then obviously the starter's there, so it goes in behind the housing up in here on the engine. So really fun. Obviously going to have to take the ECM loose, try to get it out of the way. Let's see if I can get these kind of popped out of the way. If nothing else, I may just pull these out. It's a fuse casings. And see if I can just get those three out of there and kind of pick them up out of the way or push them down out of the way, whichever way to get that in there. So there's the location of the starter. Nice to be on the side of the fuel tank. Can't really come in from the back because of the hydro and oil filler neck and whatnot, so it's obviously the easiest way to get in here. So that's what it is, and here is the new aftermarket starter. It's so shiny. So gonna take a good look at that and compare to this one. I'll probably get a tripod and set it up when I start doing some stuff. Maybe I may just do it in time lapse and then have some moments where I stop and discuss what I did. So, as usual. So, y'all stick around. Alright, so I think I kind of got it figured out. It's just tight quarters on that side. But first thing I like to do a lot of times if I'm messing with anything electrical is always disconnect your negative battery cable. Disconnect that there. Just kind of break the system there so you don't get any surges or anything and end up frying a module or something. That is an 11mm bolt and nut on this one here. So that's 11mm that I use to disconnect the cable. You will have to move the ECM because one of the starter bolts is right here, which is behind where this... Boy, it's not that hard to... There you go. You see it's right in behind here. So you can't get to it without removing this out of the way. There it is, right in that slot there. There's one here and one here. And then you've got your battery cable down here that comes over from the battery. So got to disconnect that. And then remove the starter bolts and drop it out. So I'm going to check these. I'm guessing these are probably somewhere around a 12 or 13 millimeter, but I will verify that and we'll see if I can get some decent footage on it. So, getting started. Alright, so kind of looks like a hodgepodge here, but I'm still going to try to do a little explaining here. I did lower the deck just because it's easier to get to the battery wire that comes to the bottom of the starter over here. So there's 3 wires. If you can see them, this is kind of a double wire here. Then you've got this wire here, which I think is like a ground wire. And then you've got your main cable there that comes from the battery, that one. All 3 of those go on the stud on the solenoid, and it's a 13 millimeter flange nut that's on there. There is one connector that plugs into, kind of hard to see, but let me see if I can get you a shot of it. If you see right there, oh, I'm knocking my light down there. There we go. Right there, this little wire here just plugs on, so you kind of just wiggle and pull a little bit till it pops off. The little plug there, which is this here. This is your connector here on the new starter where those wires go. I think this is blanked, I believe. I don't see anything connected to the this back stud over here. Right there, it's kind of hard to see from the shadow, but like right there above my finger, I think it's just connected to this main wire going into the starter here. So that's that. Again, that is a 13 millimeter on here, and then you've got the one plug on this prong, which is this little blue connector there. The starter bolts up here actually are a 10 millimeter, so a little smaller than I thought, but there's one here and one in that slot. So once I get those 2 disconnected, I can drop the starter out and work on getting a new one in. So stick around, maybe do some time lapse on that. Alright, well, you can see I got it out. Old starter, new starter. Everything matches up on solenoids here. Here is, sorry for the camera shifting around, but there is the prong there and there for the plug. So your wires go on here, just like on this one here. Got your 2 bolts and all your bolt angles. See, both turn the same way. One thing I noticed, and this may just be me over analyzing something, but who would think I would do that, is if you look at the gear on the starter, something that I noticed on the new one is you can see where the teeth are sitting here. It's kind of raised up above this bottom lip in the housing. And on the old starter, as you can see, they are down even if not below this lip. So probably the original starter, just a little wore out. If you have a QuikTrak 652R EFI with the Kohler, here is your Kohler starter part number right here, 2509824, and that may have a S or -S on the end of it. But there is your, that is the Kohler number right there, 2509824. So if you need to buy one, that's your Kohler number. If you look it up on eBay, I was actually able to pick this starter up for, I think, $65, which is much better than the $480 that John Deere wanted for the John Deere starter. So who knows, we'll see how it goes. I've done this with a couple things on the mower and it's fixed some problems, so aftermarket stuff does work. Which this one was searched for using the Kohler number, so it is an OE number search for this. Should be fine. You saw the time lapse on it. Again, these are 10mm bolts here, and it's kind of tricky getting this thing out of here. You kind of got to drop it down and turn it and slide it back up in between here. So then you'll have to slide it down. I had to cut the loose. There was like a double zip tie in here holding some of this stuff to this loop to keep it from flopping around, which made it tough for the flange of the starter bolt to come through the slot. So had to go ahead and cut those through, but they're just there kind of hanging stuff. So I got me some new zip ties I can put on here. That's cheap to replace. And so going to get it all put back together, and then we'll do a startup portion of the video. Again, hopefully I didn't get in front of the camera too much on the time lapse. I know I probably got my big head in the way trying to get those starter bolts out, but I may do some time lapse trying to put it back together and see if she fires up. Okay, real quick, one thing I want to talk about. Obviously I got the two 10mm bolts. You can see I got to put wire ties to hold this stuff up here. But if you look at this wire right here, it actually goes in between the bolt. The starter bolt on this side has to pass through a terminal end on this back in here. So it's kind of hard to see from this angle, but that wire goes right down behind this hole and the starter bolt goes through it. So just remember to make sure that that wire is still in there when you hook the starter back up. So I've got it back in there. I've got the wires hooked back up on the bottom down here. So connector and everything's on. So what I'm going to do now is get the ECM reconnected up here back where it's supposed to go. First I'll zip tie the wires just loosely on that loop to hold them up, support them like they were, and then I'll slide these fuses back into the fuse protectors here on the side of the engine, and then see if I can get started up. Alright, so you can see everything's reassembled. Fuses are plugged back into the little protector housings. ECM is back mounted. Everything's hooked back up. I got my zip tie on my wires here. I will probably run one more through there just to make sure, and I've got to clip off the excess. So the only thing I've got to do now is reconnect the negative battery terminal here. Again, that's an 11mm. The ECM bolts, as I mentioned at the beginning, these are 8mm. The starter bolts are 10mm. And the nut that holds the wires onto the solenoid is a 13 millimeter. So 8 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 11 millimeter, and 13 millimeter is the 4 sockets that you need to do this job. So get this connected and see if she'll fire up. Stick around. Alright, battery cable connected, and here comes the moment of truth. Oh, that sounds a whole lot better. It's alive! Get my air cleaner, I'm going to blow it out a little bit. I had to take it out because... So there you have it. Starter replacement on the John Deere QuikTrak 652R. I'm going to lightly blow out my air filter and then chopping up them leaves in a couple of yards this week. Stuff's a little dry. So I did have some dust in it. You can see where it hit the floor earlier. I'm about 14 hours from another oil change. So I've put roughly 200 hours on this mower already since I've had it basically the end of last year. This time last year is when I bought it. Cut a couple of yards with it, but basically all of those hours, probably short of maybe 5 to 10, have been put on it this year. So it's cost me a lot, but it's made me a lot. So I'll be back to wrap this one up in a moment. All right, so you can tell I do look like I've been doing a little something. Hopefully there was some reasonably decent footage in here. I'll have to go back and look at it, but you know me, I usually just shoot the footage, put it together, and hope you like it. So a little dusty, as you can tell, but you can hear clearly turns over better, spins better, starts up, but I don't know if there's maybe something loose under the engine cover, because I went to start it a second time and it was kind of doing what it was doing before as far as not turning, but as soon as you kind of just tap, I'm trying to get this camera view there, right in here, if I just kind of about like that, don't even have to hit it that hard, it's like boom, and it starts. And then I actually started it after that and it did fine. So let's see if it, so it's only done it once, so 3 out of 4, not bad. If that's the odds, then I'll take it. It's kind of like a truck with 300,000 miles on it that uses a half a quart to 3/4 of a quart on an oil change. Not a big deal. But yeah, about got the rebuild done, the engine rebuild. We're talking new starter, new ECM, new battery, new rectifier, new fuel pump, new injectors, new map sensor, new throttle sensor, new one new coil. Obviously I replace the plugs every so often. New O2 sensor, new muffler, and I think I said new battery already. So replace those gaskets, and yeah, so some new pulleys, new PTO clutch, a lot of good stuff. So hopefully, again, this video was helpful. I'm getting a little long here on this closeout, but as you can tell, it's starting better. So we're gonna go with that and keep rolling. It'll keep making money for me, and we'll see where it goes from here. Hopefully this was helpful. Thank y'all for watching. As always, y'all be safe, be kind, be blessed, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, everybody.